Struggling to get your business online? At Domains2U, we make it easy with fast domain registration, powerful web hosting, and top-tier security solutions. Our hosting solutions ensure speed, security, and reliability with 99.9% uptime and daily backups. Find the perfect domain name and get online in minutes. Get started today at domains2u.com.au.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome back once again. It's time for round 3 of the Domains2U GT3 Championship, brought to you by MC Motorsport and proudly broadcast tonight by Simple Racing Broadcast, where we make broadcast simple. Tonight we head across the Atlantic to the famous circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada. It's a track known for its blistering straights, more tight chicanes in case you haven't seen enough already this season, and of course unforgiving concrete walls, which are always a recipe for disaster. And frankly, I am here for it. My name is Jared Cole, and joining me in the booth once again is the ever-energetic Dean Biggles Hopton. Biggles, how are you, mate?
G'day. Welcome back, everybody. Well, I'm welcoming back, of course, to this fantastic racing series here from the MC Motorsport. And it's going to be an interesting one here in Canada, my friend. Casino, you can be gambling on that casino corner. And of course, you got to remember, this track has practically a similar amount of underground tunnels than it does to the overground tarmac.
Yeah, it's an interesting little track, this one, and it marks yet another week of a track that is punctuated by chicane after chicane. I have been promised by the MC Motorsport officials that from round 4 onwards we should see a few less, which I know will certainly please a few of the drivers after some of the incidents we've had over the first 2 weeks. But hey, it's all in good fun. Tonight, our GT3 Warriors are going to have to balance aggression with caution as they make their way around this circuit. Of course, built in 1978 for the Canadian Grand Prix and named after one of Canada's most beloved drivers, and actually won the inaugural Grand Prix here all those years ago. This place is absolutely known for producing drama and heartbreak, and Biggles, honestly, that's what we thrive on here at Simple Racing Broadcast, isn't it?
This is, yeah, absolutely. And to me, I would say if there's a track similar to Albert Park in Australia, you'd have to put this Circuit de Villeneuve similar, because you've got those walls that come out. Yeah, you've got a couple of runoff areas, high-speed action, a couple of twisty turns. It's got all the makings of a fantastic racetrack. It is a fantastic racetrack, and we've got some fantastic gladiators about to battle their way around this evening. And who can top Mr. Jeremy Washington on top of the timesheets currently at the moment as well?
Absolutely. We'll go and check out the qualifying action in just a moment. Tonight's race format, 16 laps in race 1, the usual sprint kicks off for this evening, and then race 2 brings us 32 laps and of course the reverse top 10 grid to see who can master this circuit here in Montreal this evening. Let's take a look at the points as they stand after 2 rounds, and of course the drop round applying to everybody's worst round. With only 2 rounds in, it really does make for a very interesting leaderboard straight away. Reese Wakefield currently sitting on top with 204 points, and then tied in 2nd and 3rd, Jeremy Washington and of course Daniel Poulton. Chad Williams right there behind him on 179, another tie with Nathan Bowman and Josh Benno. So it's all tied up. It's very, very tight at this point of the season, of course, but we are here and ready to go once again. I reckon we just jump into it here, Biggles. I think that's the way to go.
Let's jump into it. It was actually 32 kilometers of underground tunnels, but we're focused on the 2.7 miles today of overground tunneling. Yeah, because of course, half of the year here, you generally have snow, but I don't think they have snow tires ready and available in iRacing on the GT3s.
No, I wouldn't think so. As we go down and check out the qualifying action as we get out on track this evening. Jeremy Washington, as you said, holding the current top time slot, but only just ahead of Reece Wakefield, 7,000ths of a second in it. We're looking at Daniel McCrohan in the Team Max Boost Acura on his out lap right now. And look, last week, Biggles, you missed out on an absolute cracker. Some of the issues caused by chicanes, and in particular the sausage curbs at Zolder, were pretty full on. Daniel McCrohan unfortunately coming off second best in a couple of those, but looking to correct that tonight. He's currently sitting in 8th and looking to top that if he can, with about 7 minutes left in this session. So we'll have to wait and see just what these drivers can produce. Reece Wakefield is on an absolute flyer right now, has set the fastest Sector 2 time, although a little bit slower through Sector 1 than his best. So let's see how he goes as he makes his way down through the
box,
trying to decide which no boxing. Okay, well, that's no fun, Reece.
No.
I was excited.
Reece must have made a little bit of a mistake there and said, okay, Jeremy, you're the one that's topping the time sheets at the moment. Now Daniel's going to be flying around the wall of champions. Well, perhaps could he be a champion at some point, and he can champion his way up through the field there. Will he improve? Doesn't not look like it.
In fact, let's jump on board and get a bit of a bird's eye view with Daniel McCrohan as he makes his way around this very, very tight circuit. It's interesting. I enjoyed this one when it hit the iRacing officials. Did a bit of GT4 racing here, and I tell you what, for such a wide-looking track in terms of the actual asphalt surface, there is very little room for error here, and passing moves are going to be very, very difficult this evening, because there's really not a lot of great lines, and I think the only saving grace is that it's not set to rain here tonight, and that's probably what's going to keep it perhaps looking a little tidier.
Yeah, Turn 1 always produces some great overtaking opportunities and some misfortunes as well for the drivers. Turn 8, as you battle different racing lines into that, sometimes you see with the various types of cars, the wrong racing line can compromise the exit speed. Turn 13, as famous world champions, of course, you get it all hooked up, the purples are all yours. Get it all wrong, and you've got to start another lap all over again on the down foot of that one. And tyres, of course, well, generally would be a key, but of course these drivers don't get dry and wet tyres to choose from, so that's the situation. Of course, with iRacing new modelling update as well, too, how are those marbles going to pan out some of those corners? That could be the key factor.
Yeah, and look, I think the probably good thing about this track is that there shouldn't be a huge amount of Daniel McCrohan bounce over that final chicane as he makes his way through. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve. Not going to be the quickest time right now, I don't think. But we'll see how he goes as he makes his way down and through. It doesn't improve his time at this stage, but we'll wait and see how he goes on the next run. Meanwhile,
so Washington's out.
On a flyer.
Yeah, Danny P's on a flyer at the moment. Jeremy and Reece Wakefield just left for perhaps their last qualifying laps that they'll be able to do. I think it'll be a nice shakedown between those two. Danny P to the top of the timesheet. And let's add Danny to the mix, my friend. Dan the man is back, and he's back with 2/10 almost over Washington.
Snaps through the 1:36 mark. That is a very, very quick lap. Trying to decide why is he just on his way out of the pits. He must have set that lap and just reset very
Josh just sets the fastest first sector and the fastest lap, so the times are tumbling like a 2025 stock exchange market at the moment. No, I don't want to go there.
That sounds current to me.
Well, that is very, very true, and that's exactly the situation.
The FCR Motorsport Porsche absolutely ripping through. Josh Bennett looking to set another fast lap by the look of things. We'll take a look further back. Aaron Gilbert from Team Jinx Shifters out in the Mustang has just started his hot lap, so we'll see if he can improve his position from 14th. But plenty of drivers running some very, very quick times here. It is the great thing about this track, though. We've got a little sidetrack with the fastest times coming through, but this track shouldn't generate a huge amount of tyre wear. There's not a lot of high-speed corners, some heavy braking zones for sure. But most of the corners are actually fairly low speed. The good thing is that is going to make for some very, very interesting braking zones and overtaking opportunities for these drivers tonight, because it's not going to get done on some of these shorter straights. There's a couple of longer sections where you might be able to get into that slipstream and get up alongside, but ultimately it's all going to be who has the biggest set in the car with them when it comes to braking.
Danny's coming across the line on the out lap to start his fastest lap to see if he can do something about it. Jeremy Washington's out in the track somewhere there. Jeremy Washington's just coming around. Yeah. This is going to be interesting, as you said. So about tyre wear, and you got to also, well, remember as well too, you can get a tow. I know they used to do that. They do that in Formula One as well too. If you've got your teammate out there, get a nice little tow down on the exit down the casino straight, actually, because it's a long run. It's essentially the longest straight you're going to have here on the track. And it can give you a little fraction, 1/10 or so. That's all that makes a difference at the moment, because we do have almost 2/10 from Joshua and Danny P in P2.
Yeah, and I mean, take a look at that timing tower right now. The top 16 all within less than 9/10 of a second. So there is not much in this. You know what? An extra tenth here or there is not going to hurt in the slightest, because it could mean the difference between starting mid-pack and actually starting up in the front few at this point, as Jeremy Washington rounds the hairpin and starts his way down the last straight before that final chicane. And I think this is going to be one of the interesting ones to watch, the racing along this straight, because it is such a long one. It's going to be really, really tough to separate the drivers as they make their way down. But the braking here into this last chicane, there is no room to go side by side there. Washington flies through and demonstrates just how tight that is. If you don't have the pass done by then, that is going to end in absolute tears.
Yes, that's the fastest third sector as well too for Washington, but it's not enough. But he's on a flying lap right now. Perhaps his last lap. There's a lot of traffic out there as well too. That's another key factor you've got to take into consideration. He's abandoned that lap. He's abandoned it. So that's going to cost a little bit of time. He's got to go out lap and do it all over again there. That's going to give an opportunity for Danny P, who is on a flying lap, making his way around first couple of turns. That's a tricky section. Get on the loud pedal, just like you absolutely would. You're looking at Aaron Gilbert as well too for the Team Jinxes. And Reese Wakefield says, bingo, I'm in the 35 club. Come and join me, boys and girls.
There it is. So a couple of drivers making their way into the sub 36s. That is an exceptionally fast lap around here. Should be very, very interesting to see what this sprint race produces. I'm hoping it's none of the theatrics of last week, where we did see, to say the least, some pretty epic early turn incidents. So we will have to
Danny
wait
P
and
made
see.
a mistake as well too. That's going to cost him a bit of time. You might have to just cool it all down there and redo it all over again. Jeremy Washington's in the pits, Lee's in the pits, Aaron's in the pits, Dean's in the pits. Almost everybody is at this point, my friend. So are they all just waiting for the ultimate Josh Marsh up in a P4? Oh, you are. That's correct. That's it. It's done and dusted.
So that will do it as we go to the grid, just as soon as we can confirm all of those results. But here it is. Reese Wakefield and Josh Benno will head up race number 1 ahead of Danny P and Josh Marsh. Coming in clutch from Tulip Racing in 4th. Jeremy Washington and Lee Keldulis are lining up alongside each other. Then Aaron Gilbert and Dean Power ahead of Kyle Ridley and Mick Polly. Chris Bleakley and Dean Jacobson just missing out on the top 10, but still starting from row 6, which will be a pretty tidy little spot, I suspect, to be seeing yourself off from. As we move further back through the field, Daniel McCrowan and Lachlan Burke are ahead of Aaron Schotter and Henry King. Then Patrick Freeman and Ryan Palmer ahead of James Selhani and Chris Lashbrook. Simon Kaplan and Wiley Blair, then Luke Hayden and Ronald Long ahead of Travis Harris and Dan Merko, with Josh Harris and Matt Bakir just staying inside the top 30, and Nathan Bowman and Dylan Thomas rounding that out. Charlie Milliken and Martin Lipsky ahead of Trev Mortimer and James Bunker. That rounds out the grid for race number 1, and there's some names there that I think honestly we'd probably usually expect perhaps a bit of a better showing, but this is a really tough track to wrap your head around, and so I'm not incredibly surprised to see that there may be a few challenges for some of these drivers as we do.
Especially Josh Marsh. I mean, Josh Marsh is 22nd in the championship at the moment. Put in a banker of a lap there. It's going to be starting on the second row on P4. So alongside the usual suspects, of course, Reese Wakefield just put that banker in last minute to get that pole position. Josh Bernard, of course, he's running 5th in the championship. That's absolutely fantastic for him. Jeremy Washington pushed Jeremy Washington down to P5. Lee, Aaron, Dean, and another key factor, we don't see any Chad Williams in the grid tonight. Chad Williams basically going into this race as 4th in the championship.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's a couple of drivers missing out, not to mention Mitch Curry, of course, not making a showing this evening, unable to make it this evening, so I'm sure he's watching at home. Yeah, the boss man out for a round. Look, it happens, right? Come
on, boss, you don't get a break, mate. Yeah, no, he does.
We are ready to go racing under starters orders. Heat 1, the 16-lap sprint, and we are underway. A little bit of a movement there from Josh Marsh, but shouldn't be enough to set off any issues. Have a look at this field immediately going 3 wide as we make our way down towards the first of many chicanes. This is going to be very, very tight. They're settling into 2 wide. Hopefully we can make it through here in one piece. No, we've got contact.
No.
That is Dylan Thomas and Josh Harris coming together, and that will certainly mix up the order back in the pack. They'll get back up and running. Out in front, Reese Wakefield already looking to establish his lead as early as possible. They're starting to get in single file. Those chicanes, Dean, will absolutely sort these guys out quickly, won't they?
Wait till we get to the hairpin. That's going to be the key thing, isn't it? La Ping actually is going to really separate the drivers from the drivers. On top of that one, Danny Pete's putting pressure on Josh. So we did lose Josh Harris going around. Dylan Thomas come together. Norman Borman had to go off track to take some avoiding action. They're further back in the field there. But at the moment, it's going to be interesting to see if Danny Pete could take Josh after he exit the La Ping.
Yeah, there's a little way to go. Danny McCrone, you can see already up a couple of positions in P11, so he's looking to make a move through the field. Look how much this hairpin slows the field down, though. And McCrone has to go very, very wide to avoid going into the back of Mick Poley. It is nice to see this week, and I know it's early, we're only on lap 1, but it's nice to see a field that is not dominated by the Acura NSX at the top. It's a nice change, honestly, from the last couple of weeks, and I'm hoping that it stays that way because I'd love to see it get mixed up just a little bit as we see Reese Wakefield come around to finish the first lap here. All in all, look, honestly, surprisingly tidy considering what this course offers in terms of opportunities to come together on lap 1. But already the field's starting to space out here.
It will generally. Ryan Palmer making a little bit of a move there on Dean Jacobson, as well as Lachlan Burke, as they're sorting themselves out in the first couple of turns. Overtaking opportunities are there, of course, here in Canada. But as you mentioned, so it is, you got the Porsches in the mixer, you got a McLaren a little bit further back and Ford, another McLaren, another Ford there. So he's not completely dominated here. First of all, you have to conquer the track before you conquer the other drivers, similar to Monaco.
Yeah, and it's a very, very interesting track, this one. I know I've said already, Daniel McCrone just makes a move on Mick Poley as well. So he manages to make that stick, and going through is Chris Bleakley. So Mick Poley having a bit of an issue out of the chicane there. Chris Bleakley was going to be almost side by side there. Poley dropped in behind. Aaron Schotter having a look up the inside. Nowhere to go there. It's because it's
Danny making a run too, mate. Danny making a run on Josh.
Side by side as they come to the hairpin. He's got the inside. That's going to have to slow him right down. Josh Marsh finds himself very, very wide. He's going to have to fight off Jeremy Washington. Manages to get back in front of him. Away we go again. Look at the spacing starting to open up here with Reese Wakefield and Josh Benno. I tell you what, these guys absolutely demonstrating why they are so proficient in the GT3 class. They just, I don't know, they deliver something else when they come out on track here. Aaron Schotter are going to have another crack at this as we come to the last chicane. This is where you don't want to be side by side into the final chicane. He backs out, and that's probably the best move as Mick Poley goes through and stays ahead of him for another lap. But the pressure will be on. Already we're seeing low 36s, and we're only a few laps in here, Biggles. I reckon we're into the 35s pretty soon at this rate.
Yeah, that's right. That's the qualifying pace the driver's doing. So already starting to burn through that heavy gas tanks that they're going to have. As Dan the man, I think Daniel and Dean Powell has made a little bit of a switcher in that position. He has down
just,
3.
Given up to Daniel McCrone and Chris Bleakley. He's now got Mick Poley all over the back end of him. Simon Caplet has had an issue in the background. It's not going to be enough to bring a safety car, I think. But Dean Powell really struggling for pace here tonight. Finds himself on the inside of Ryan Palmer. A little bit of belly panel contact there, perhaps. But Powell just not able to find the pace. I'm wondering if he had a slow down he was trying to burn off.
Bit of door banging, nothing wrong with that, my friend. A few people in the pit lanes. James is in the pit lane. Simon's in the pit lane. early on those days. Not quite sure they had repair.
Not looking healthy at all.
No.
Look, a great cause, but unfortunately it's not helping that Porsche. Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. And not able to save him from that damage. But look, the things will go, and we'll see if we can find where that actually occurred. The iRap Designs replay coming in very handy as always.
It might be contact of Luke there. Yeah, there was actually. Because and Luke's also been involved in another incident since then as well too. And
Luke Hyde and Travis Harris and Dan Mirko all coming together there in the hairpin. That was a big one. Let's see who's initiated the iRap Designs replay. Oh, a bit of contact there. Travis Harris, unfortunately, couldn't keep it under control. But really, I think Luke Hyde and
That's Luke with the damage that you saw from the incident before. So that's
may have had a bit of karma there with Travis Harris getting pushed back in front, or rather over and making contact there. Long and Luke Hyden sitting reasonably side by side at the moment. That's again, you don't want to be side by side anywhere on this track. You really don't.
No.
Martin Lipsky getting in amongst it as well, though.
You can kind of thing in the corners that I mentioned, but then you get to the high-speed parts of the track and then you're in a little bit of trouble, especially if you're missing an old front fender as well too. But don't count that out at the moment.
No, not just yet. That's right. But that's going to cause some issues, particularly under braking.
Jeremy Washington, sorry to cut you off there, and Danny P, 2 for nail there. Josh Bernard. Also, something's happened up the road there with those drivers, but they've all switched to route at the moment. They're up and down like a trade war at the moment, isn't it? The United States and China.
What's happened to Daniel Paul? He's lost a lot of pace there. Josh Benno managed to get back in front, but actually Danny P's caught up to Josh Benno there. He's been working away at that for the last little while.
And now they're going to be up against it.
Yeah, Reece Wakefield though continuing to maintain a couple of seconds gap over the two of them. And he'll be quite happy for them to battle it out and just chew away at these laps. Make it just that little bit easier for him with every lap that goes by to wrap up the points here in race number 1 of the Domains2U GT3 Championship. Round 3, of course, coming to you from Montreal. G'day if you've just joined us. We'll take a look back again. Dean Powell continues to struggle. He finds himself behind Aaron Schotter. I'm not sure what's going on with that Mustang tonight, whether he's just a little off the pace, but he seems to really be struggling to maintain his position in the field. He's down 5 so far, and not the qualifying pace that he's able to replicate here right now.
Yeah, they're getting a little loosey-goosey coming out of the exit there as well too, as you saw. But absolutely.
Washington's gone past Daniel Poulton as well. So Daniel Poulton's starting to show signs that he may be human after all, and may just occasionally struggle depending on the track. I don't know if chicanes are just not the desired environment for these Acuras. Reece Wakefield showing it can be done, but certainly not dominating like we've seen him do so far. You've got to look at those gaps though. Reece Wakefield, 2.5 seconds to Josh Benno, 2 seconds pretty well flat to Jeremy Washington now. It's coming around real quick.
Well, it's because Dan doesn't have his fans out there calling him out, shouting him on.
That could be
It's not a grandstand. Yeah. So Dan's dropping. Only one place currently at the moment. Started in gold place down to 4th. But you need that fan boost out there.
That's the pass from Washington, and that's got to be a slowdown for Daniel.
Yeah, it has to be. Dan wouldn't give that up easily.
No, he's jumped a curb somewhere there that's pulled him back. And look, you have to be quick around this track, but the line between fastest way through a corner and getting a slowdown here in Montreal is razor thin. It really is.
That's what makes for a great racing track, isn't it? You can't just give me a handy overtake. You've got to earn it. These are big boys. They know how to get the job done.
A bit of a battle pack here. Aaron Gilbert with Kyle Ridley and Daniel McCrowan right behind him. Now, Ridley is a new contestant here with the MC Motorsport crowd, bringing his.
That's a send. That's a send.
McCrowan looks to go back around the outside. He's not going to get it done there, but he's threatening for the next turn, isn't he? Let's watch McCrowan here and see just what he sets up.
Yep, got to go around the outside. Throw him around there, throw a dummy, get on the braking point, just fill the mirrors up full of the car, get a good exit. You want to be around about 1/10 on the gearbox of that car. and then see where it goes defensive, of course, into Laping, and then at that point get on that loud pedal and hopefully don't slide the rear end out, and you could have an overtaking opportunity. But remember, they're going to get the slipstream for the cars at the road too. Okay, Aaron, Kyle, and Lee.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go. I mean, we're only into the 7th lap at this point, and plenty of time for McLaren to just put together a really solid overtaking opportunity. There's no need to pressure it. I think he's probably learned from last week, especially, just how little it takes to have some major issues with these cars if you do get it wrong. Take a look a little further up, and you can see there, Daniel Poulton now just starting to get himself a little bit of clean air behind, so he can focus on trying to reel in Jeremy Washington. But Josh Marsh, he has managed to maintain his position in his field reasonably well. Lee Keldula's right behind him. Aaron Gilbert further back, also in their starting positions. So it's not been a huge amount of movement in amongst the top end of this field. Everyone pretty well still aligned with where they started this race, and it really does speak to the difficulty of overtaking here in Montreal. As we take a little bit further back, Dean Jacobson drops another spot. Ryan Palmer goes through.
It looked like to me that Dean got a slowdown as well too, because he had to let one of the other drivers through earlier, and so he was on the back foot immediately in a high-speed section of the track there, and unfortunately had to use that place.
How hard these guys are actually pushing every single lap, and how much they're exploring the limits of this track. Kyle Ridley.
This could be an opportunity for Daniel to make a run.
Big dive up the inside. Gets it done. Does he have the power out of the corner? Cuts across, shuts the door on Ridley, and McCrone moves up into 8th. A fantastic passing opportunity there presented itself. He's up into 8th, up 5 positions from where he started, and McCrone is on the charge, looking to improve his position here in race number 1. Not far behind, Mick Poley now is looking to do much the same as Chris Bleakley. I don't think he's going to get an opportunity here, but he's certainly reeling him in for the setup on the next available passing.
And Dan making a run on Jeremy. Got it. Got him.
There you go. So Daniel
into
Poulton,
the important turn 1 and turn 2 as well too. So sized up that opportunity. Didn't get him before the Wall of Champions, got him after, and that's what you see sometimes with a bit of patience from the drivers that realise that that's an overtaken opportunity, more so than the dying couple of corners. So we'll see that throughout this race, hopefully more.
It is a tricky one though, right? And again, you know, Daniel Poulton lost a bunch of time and a bunch of track position through slowdowns. He's managed to make that up. You almost got to wonder sometimes if it's worth pushing as hard as he is. If it's going to cost him slowdowns on a regular basis, he's going to have to be so careful. Because Jeremy Washington, if he just continues to apply the pressure, is going to get that position handed back. If Danny Pete does cop another slowdown. Mick Poley now right behind Chris Bleakley. So they've swapped positions somewhere there. And Polly having to keep an eye on Aaron Schotter behind him from MC Motorsport, with Dean Powell now sitting in 13th. So it's been a bit of a rough one for him. Lee Keldula's having a big moment, finds himself out very, very wide on the exit of the hairpin there. It's probably not what he had in mind. Josh Marsh, though, says, thank you very much, I'll just maintain my position. You can't have it that easily. Keldula so straight back into it, looking right on the tail of that Porsche.
Fight back. Don't do it here. Don't do it here. You're going to go off the racing line. Those world champions will come out and bite you. But overtake opportunities coming up now. A little bit of a wiggly coming out of the corner there from Josh Marsh. Here we go. This will be an opportunity for Lee to send it up the inside. He should have it done before the breaking point, yes.
God, that looks so easy. You've got to wonder if Marsh had a slowdown. I don't think he would have.
He got loosey-goosey out of the exit, and he had to aka chicken lift. Really, at the end of the day, and we don't like to use that term too much, but it's a NASCAR term, because he had lift, really, and because otherwise he would have been loosey-goosey and probably in the wall. So he's living to the end of the day. He remembers that there are still 8 remaining laps.
Oh, Josh Marsh.
Josh Marsh has got a slow... Oh,
what is going on? He's copped another one. He's backed right out, and that's Danny McCrone, Ridley, Bleakley, Poley all going through. Josh Marsh picks up the battle again. I don't know what's going on, whether he's really hitting that close on all of these corners and just cooking slowdown after slowdown. That's it's not ideal. Aaron Schotter makes the move past as well as then come on through the chicane. So Schotter gets through. Dean Powell's looking at an opportunity as well. Tell you what,
If you're Josh Marsh, you've just
got
got to, you're off the pace, you're off you're in the zone, you're off the zone, you're out of the zone at the moment. You've got to get yourself back into that zone there. You will drop a couple of places, but get yourself connected back into the thoughts of what you were doing good before. And then just, suck it up, buttercup, as I like to say, and then fight your way back up to the field again, because fighting in a position that you're not uncomfortable with the car's getting loose is not a good feeling, and he's got to get that feeling back again.
Go up towards the front of the field. Josh Benno had such a commanding lead, and now Daniel Poulton and Jeremy Washington have been chipping away at that for the last 5 laps or so, and they brought him back to about a second. So not too much further up the road, but Reece Wakefield absolutely waltzing away right now. He is almost 4 seconds clear of this trio, and barring any mistakes or errors up the front, you'd have to think at this stage of the race he can almost cruise home.
Until traffic. There is none yet. They're still got about half a circuit before Reece Wakefield is going to reach the other contenders a little bit further back. But that's the situation. Yeah, just cruise by, manage the gaps currently to Josh and P2, and it should be smooth sailing from there.
Taking a look at Mick Poley from Southern Cross Racing. Poley going very, very defensive. Picks his line. Oh, the little movement there.
Oh, there's contact.
Poley's going sideways across, takes out Josh Marsh. Aaron Schotter gets away with it, but Josh Marsh and Mick Poley coming off worse for wear. Marsh looks stranded. He's just going to have to sit and wait for an opportunity to get back up and running. He's lost a lot of track position there. Mick Poley as well carrying a lot of damage. He's in behind Dean Jacobson now in 14th. So I'm sure that won't be getting called through to the stewards, because at a glance, hard to say, but I don't love the move that Aaron Schotter's put on there. Let's go back and take a look, see what it looked like with a slightly closer view. The iRacing Designs replay showing us there that perhaps the issue was a little further back than that. But let's go back a little further.
Yeah, and Josh is struggling right now with that car. He's got some severe damage. He's going to have to come into pit road, as Mick Poley's going into pit road as well. So you can see the damage on that car for the replay. And he's going to...
It's not looking happy, is it?
Drop quite back, yeah. Danny P starting to catch Josh up the road as well too. The battle for P2, the battle for P7 still resuming as well too. As Daniel, we got basically 2 Dans on the move, my friend. Daniel McCrollan and Danny P, all battling to gain another position in this race.
That front 3 unchanged right now. Wakefield, Benno and Poulton all right where they started. The rest of that front pack have all moved up considerably in some instances from where they started this race, which is great news for them. Let's take a look, if I can, at just how many positions have been gained here. Take a look at the timing tower. We'll give you a bit of a feel for it. And honestly, Danny McCrollan, the biggest mover so far, up 6 positions. Lachlan Burke and Aaron Schotter up a few as well. Nick Patasso jumps into the YouTube chat. G'day, mate. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Dan Merko has had an issue as well. Let's go back and take a look at that. The iRacing Designs replay.
Oh, it's turned straight in.
Look, I'm glad to see
he's had to lock up, hasn't he?
He's got on the brakes and he's avoided going into the back end of Travis Harris. Look, probably the best he could hope for in that situation, because otherwise he would have spun that car no problems.
Yeah, would have been 2 out on that dance party rather than just 1 that's going to be sitting there waiting for another dancing party later on.
Dean Powell all over the back
the
of Aaron
Deans,
Schotter.
my friend. Yes, it's not a law firm.
We've had a
show.
huge crash. What's happened here? I'm not sure. Yeah, just nose to tail. Ronald Long, Matt McKeer, Travis Harris, Trevor Mortimer, all getting caught up in that. Just too slow. I wonder if that's just Ronald Long out in front. Let's watch him as he comes through the hairpin. Gets pushed sideways. And then, nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go.
You can use the couple of kilometres of underground tunnels to take that one back. That's about the best you can get. Look at this. Daniel is on the back of Josh. The battle for P2 currently in your pictures. And, well, Dan's on a move. He's gone, hey, got a call up there on the radio saying, Reece Wakefield's up the road by almost 5 seconds from you. All right, Dan's like on the radio back going, all right, let me just dispose of Joshua first and I'll get him.
I don't think it'll be quite that easy somehow. Josh Benno knows his way around that Porsche. I mean, Daniel Poulton has caught up. It is one thing to catch someone, it's a whole other thing to pass at most tracks. When you come to Montreal, where there's really only 2 corners that aren't a chicane. And yeah, it adds a whole other level of difficulty. You see Reese Wakefield flashing past your screen there for just a brief moment. And then 2, 3 and 4, Benno, Poulton and Washington, all within about half a second of each other. Benno taking the defensive line, Daniel Poulton just having a bit of a look out to the left. And Josh Benno, we know he can defend. It's a question of whether he can defend for a full 3 laps here to the finish. It's a long way to go, don't kid yourself. It doesn't seem like much, but it is only a 16-lap race, so these guys have been pushing hard right from the start. And yeah, Danny P and Jeremy Washington. It's one of those questions, isn't it, Biggles? Like, do you throw it all out there for the incredibly valuable points that are on offer here in race 1, or do you just sit in and comfortably finish well within the top 5, still get a decent number of points?
You can't tell racing drivers sit back and relax, my friend. They're not going to do that. But I tell you what, Joshua's doing a good job defensively because he's sticking to the racing line and he's going, all right, bring your A game there, Danny, because I'm going to get the exit of exits, which is exactly what he's doing. He's getting the perfect exits out of the corner. He may not be getting the entries to the exits perfect, but that doesn't matter because it's not about the entry, it's about the exit, and he's doing that perfectly. And that's frustrating Danny at some point, no doubt. And at some point, and Danny's also looking in his mirror, he's going, there's also Jeremy. So he's got to contend with a couple of situations at the moment, but Joshua's doing a solid job here. He's just picking the right path. He's not moving around, he's not weaving. He knows exactly where he needs to be, knows his braking points, and he just knows, I'll get the good exit. It's going to be very hard for him to overtake.
Big bounce over the curb there from Daniel Poulton. That's going to cost him some pace. You see Josh Benno much smoother, just starts to open up that gap again as they come down the main straight. Oh, it's a tricky one. The Acura's definitely got some pace in the hands of Danny P and a few of the other drivers, to be fair. But Benno is just so smooth in that Porsche.
Porsche's got the exits, man. Porsche's got the exit speed. You can see it clearly, and Joshua knows that. Joshua knows not to make a mistake into it. He can go slow in, but he's got to go fast out. He's doing that perfectly. It's going to be frustrating Danny P once again. But Joshua knows this. He's basically got, he's got Carlos on the radio going, smooth operator, my friend, smooth operator, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's smooth in. He's not fighting the car. He's picking the right braking points, and he's not mirror driving, and that's going to be crucial to maintain that P2 position.
Now, those are really interesting moves there. Not surprising to see Benno take the defensive inside line. I'm a little surprised that Danny P didn't follow him and try and close the gap using that slipstream.
Can go for it.
Benno again defensive.
Yeah.
So he's going to force Danny P to the outside, just park that thing on the apex. Jeremy Washington says, thank you very much, I'll tackle him.
And look at the exit. Look at the exit for the Porsche. He's got about 3 car lengths already. Danny P will have the straight line speed. It seems like he's had that, but by the time he catches him into the corner of champions, World Champions coming up, he's just not going to have enough to get it done. And
do you
risk it for the biscuit?
Over 5 seconds now, just continues to extend that lead.
At this point is that question that you've asked. Does Danny completely risk this for the biscuit, put his nose in where it might get chopped off for a chance of a couple more points? That's going to be a big question, isn't it? Does he want to risk it on the penultimate lap like this? I'd say no.
I wouldn't, but that's why I'm not at the top end of this field. that's the difference here, isn't it? These guys are
all the cameras,
hungry for every single... Look,
Yeah.
Pointing cameras is one thing, mate. It's pretty easy from up here in the booth, let's be honest. These guys have got to make decisions on the fly as to just how hard they want to push. I mean, this is a sprint race. There's no question that you've got fuel and tyres to push absolute maximum effort the whole way around. It's not a battle of attrition. It really is looking for the error. You've got to be close enough to capitalise on that. The question really remains for Poulton Washington: are they going to try and push Benno to the point of actually sending a move in a bit of a coin toss scenario, or are they waiting for something a little bit more concrete before they try and get through?
It's all they can do. All he can do right now is show his nose
to send it.
Yeah, do it. That's all he can do. But the problem is, when you do that, you just compromise some exit speed. There is some lap traffic up the road. That's not the race leader, the 64 you just saw in the pictures. So that may come into play at the moment on the last lap of the race, but at the moment, Reese Wigfield's sort of got this one. But yeah, Danny's going to have to send something on the outside there. But Joshua's just been smooth in, smooth out every single time, and he knows he's got that P2 as long as he does not make a mistake.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? There's still plenty of opportunity. You know, we may be onto the last lap here. Reese Wakefield, almost 5.5 seconds. Just an absolute masterful drive. Going to be very, very hard to beat in this championship, I'm sure. But we've still got a long way to go. Chris Bleakley and Aaron Schotter side by side further back. So don't go thinking that all the action is in that top 5. There's still plenty of battles going on back here. Have we had another issue back at the hairpin?
Yes, we have.
Again.
Matt James.
Oh, big send up the inside. 1, 2. Just nose to tail over and over again.
Bumper cars.
That is rough. That is rough.
Step on down, ladies and gentlemen, and get your bumper car tickets for the greatest bumper car show. Of course, that's the casino turn. But Reese Wakefield should have the job done. Licked the stamp and absolutely sent it right now here to Canada.
This is the question, though, isn't it? Can Benno hold on? Oh, Danny P, a big dive. He's going to send it contact. Contact there. Now, the question is...
The scrubby speed on the exit.
Yep.
Joshua knows it. Joshy knows it. He's got to play that game. He's like, all right, you sent it, my friend, but now can you send it in the Wall of Champions? Because one way along the line, somebody's going in there. We haven't decided a champion yet in the series. Reese Wakefield's looking right at the field and going, I may be the champion at the moment, but this is it, done. Reese has got it.
Reese Wakefield comes across the line. Here we go. The run to the line's on. Josh Benno has defended beautifully, and he's going to hold on to that. Second and third to Benno and Poulton. Jeremy Washington. What's happened there? Has Washington run out of fuel or something? They were so slow across that line. Just barely got through ahead of Keldoulis. How bizarre.
How bizarre.
Sure what happened there? Oh, you know what? Oh no.
Did he get a slowdown?
I reckon he's got a slowdown. The question is, did he clear it in time? Because if you cross the line with a slowdown...
He did, I think.
That's about 40 seconds. That's gonna come off your finishing position. That is going to hurt.
Oh dear!
If he didn't get that one cleared.
Oh dear! Yeah, we'll find out about that one because provisionally at the moment he's finished in P4, but pending that situation of Josh Jeremy, he forgot to fill the gas tank up.
I hope not. In the end, though, you got to hand it to Reese Wakefield. A massive drive from him just made it look easy in the end. That's
why you qualify P1. I've told you this before.
Well, you may not be wrong. And look, he's done it so easy. He's even got time to chat to us on his cool-down lap. Reese, welcome back to the booth, mate. Did you actually even see anyone else that race?
I think I saw Josh off the start line, and then that was about it.
Wow, that was absolutely dominant. Congratulations on taking out the race win here. Yeah. I don't even know where we start with you, my friend. You started to set yourself up here for a pretty tidy championship with obviously 5 rounds still to go plus another race here tonight. What's the secret sauce? What is it that's putting you so far out in front here? Because it is absolutely dominating.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me personally has been working on my consistency. I know last season I didn't particularly have the cleanest of seasons. There was a couple of races there where I spun out in DNF where I could have made a lot of points, but I think definitely this season there's been a lot of consistency work, and so far it's paid off.
And Reese, you also decided to just put your fastest lap in on the dying stages of the qualifying. You just felt you had that pace up your belt all the time now, up your sleeve?
No, the track is very slippery when everyone first gets on it, and with Montreal being such a tight street circuit and opportunity for slowdowns at every corner, it's kind of hard just to find space to underutilize the pace. I was kind of shocked when I put that pole lap on, but I mean, I'll take it.
I never look the gift horse in the mouth, mate. Going to be starting in position 10 for race 2, of course, with the reverse grid. What's the thought here? How are you planning to try and charge your way through some of these drivers?
I think the plan's going to be similar to what it was at Zolder. Just try and get a good launch, stay out of trouble, and just if I can find a pack of cars I can run with, I'll do that and just wait for the mistakes. Because like I said, the slowdowns here are ridiculous. I think minimum is a 1.9 second slowdown. So
we certainly saw plenty of them there.
Yeah, just wait for other people to make those mistakes and hopefully I can capitalise.
Looking forward to seeing what you can deliver, Reese. Congratulations, an awesome start to your evening here in Montreal. We'll let you go and get a few stretches and get ready for race number 2 and see if we end up talking to you again after the second race here tonight. Congrats again.
Thanks, guys.
Biggles, I think that sums a lot of it up, doesn't it? Those slowdowns playing a massive part, and we saw plenty of them right throughout race number 1. We've got twice the distance to go in race 2. It's going to have an impact.
It's amazing as well too. So if you are tuning in and you're not familiar as how this track works, it's a tight, twisty kind of semi-street circuit as well too, built on a man-made island. But you know the slowdowns are not because you're running too wide, because there's those concrete barriers out there waiting for you. It's because you're cutting chicanes and so forth. So drivers got to be aware of that one. They, as Reese just elaborated on, that's a situation that will cost you. A slowdown, of course, means you have to stick to a delta, and you're going to feel like you're driving Miss Daisy down a highway, and then you know the cars are going to whiz past you. So that is the situation. And of course, the other little bumper car shenanigans that we've been having as well too, making a little mistake out of La Ping down in Casino Straight. You've basically gambled on the wrong cards.
Yeah, not ideal. We're seeing quite a few post-race penalties coming through just on the admin chat here from a couple of those incidents. Look, nothing that I can see that's impacted the front end of race number 1, but certainly a number of them from those hairpin incidents that we saw. And honestly, you know, we've had this conversation before, Biggles. If you had to pick a corner where you're going to set up that folding chair for all the action, it's got to be the hairpin here tonight by the look of things, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get your cold ones out there. Get your bunning snags and sit back and enjoy that one, because that's been the hot zone. It's not really that much of an overtaken opportunity, but you can set it up the inside. We saw that, didn't we, in the dying stages of the race, where we saw the champion of defending get under attack from Denny P. Denny P just fully censored the inside, but the problem is by doing that, just compromise your exit. And it's all about the exit.
Absolutely. And Josh Benno just handled it brilliantly. You got to hand it to him. He absolutely nailed the response to that. Got back out in front, good drive out of the corner, and retains his P2 result. Danny P settles for P3. Jeremy Washington, look, I hope we get an opportunity to hear from him somewhere. I suspect he was clearing that slowdown. That's the only thing that makes sense. But look at the gap to Lee Keldulis. 0.008 in the end. Jeremy Washington almost cost himself P4 with that slowdown. It really does speak to Reese's point about the severity of slowdowns here in Montreal. If you do jump one of those curbs, it's going to cost you a lot of time. We'll take a look a bit further back through the results here as well. You've had plenty of time to take a look at the top 18 there. Finishing further back, Josh Harris, the start of the second half of the field there. And Wiley Blair had some issues early on, unfortunately, with his connection, had to drop out. Simon Caplet and Ron Long both suffering from some fairly significant incidents, so finishing a lap down. But otherwise, right throughout the field, most of these drivers finishing on the lead lap is a pretty good result, honestly. I can't say I'm too disappointed with that.
With a stacked grid of 36 or so drivers, it is absolutely fantastic considering how close they were during qualifying. Remember, we went over that. They're only separated by a second or so they're very quick on track. They only go seize those opportunities when you can seize those opportunities. But Jeremy Washington's going to have a good fight back on this one. He's lost points to Dan. He's lost points to Reese. He's going to want to make them up.
Absolutely.
And more importantly, he's actually lost points to Joshua, who's 5th in the championship, and will be gaining on them.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tight one. I can't wait to see the provisional points at the end of this evening. We've still got 32 laps ahead of us, would you believe? So let's take a look at the grid for race number 2. Of course, the reverse top 10 means that Chris Bleakley will be taking pole alongside Lachlan Burke. Then Aaron Gilbert and Kyle Ridley ahead of Daniel McCrowan and Lee Keldulis. Jeremy Washington and Danny P on row 4 ahead of Josh Benno and Reese Wakefield. Then the rest of the field will be starting in their finishing order. So Aaron Schotter and Dean Power just outside that top 10, unfortunately not benefiting from the grid reversal here in race 2. Dean Jacobson and Ryan Palmer behind them ahead of Chris Lashbrook and Patrick Frame, then Henry King and Mick Polly, with Josh Harris and Charlie Milliken rounding out the top 20. Matt Bakir and Trev Mortimer right there as well, row 11 for them. Row 12 is Martin Lipsky and Luke Hayden. Further back through the field, Dylan Thomas and James Salhani not having the race that they would have liked, but there's always this one to make it up. Travis Harris and Josh Marsh further back, then Nathan Bowman and Dan Mirko. Ron Long and Simon Caplet, probably the last cars that will see the grid here. I don't think Wiley Blair will be back, and James Bunker, unfortunately, not actually starting. So we'll have to see if either of those two do make it onto the grid here this evening. We've got, look, about a minute to go before we get underway for race number 2. So if you're floating around in the chat, do let us know if you'd like us to keep an eye on anyone in particular, or if you'd like an update on any of the drivers, of course. Right now, though, we will go down to the track and get ready to go as the drivers do make their way onto the grid, ready for race number 2. A few of them just dropping in and out a bit here at the moment.
Yep, they're going to be jumping into their cars and getting them all fired up and ready to go. We're seeing about half the field there. Jeremy Washington, Daniel P, Joshua Bernard as well too. Some big players at the moment. Need to get in those vehicles and get on the grid, my friend, and get your race starts nailed, because that turn 1's approaching pretty quickly. You don't realize it's a short run down to turn 1, and then you got Kings to the left, Kings to the right, swinging all around, and a couple of trailer parks in there, and you've got a race on your hands.
Absolutely do. We are just waiting for the last of the cars to grid now. It doesn't look like James Bunker has made on, but Wiley Blair appears to have made it back to the grid for race number 2, which is good to see. Maybe a little bit of a PC restart was all it took.
Oh, they're running on the Xbox. What are you talking about? Kidding.
Let's go down to the track. We get ready to go racing here. Starter just confirming all as well. The green flag being waved at the back of the field. We are getting ready to go racing here.
Keep an eye on Lachlan as well too. The run down on the inside apron can work well. Jared.
Absolutely. Here we go. We are underway for race number 2. The launch, not quite what they would have liked, but Aaron Gilbert getting a fantastic launch off the line. Chris Bleakley, though, jumping to the front. Let's see how this looks as they make their way through the first chicane. We've got, that's one of the Antic Motorsports cars. That's Reese Wakefield has spun. Reese Wakefield has spun through the first corner, and he's going to find himself all the way at the back of this pack. That is going to cost him a huge amount of time and position that he's going to have to make up over the next 32 laps. Right now, Chris Bleakley taking full advantage of the clear air up there. Daniel McCrowan starting to make his move up through the field as well. Look at him side by side with Lee Keldulis as they go through yet another set of chicanes. And Montreal, I'll tell you what, if you ever want chicane practice, just chuck your car here and take a few laps around, because I can't think of another track that's got quite so many to navigate. Daniel McCrowan getting huge amounts of pressure from Lee Keldulis. Chris Bleakley, though, making his way off. Lachlan Burke, that glowing gold FCR SimSport Porsche, right on his tail. The big news story, though, Reese Wakefield all the way back in at 30th right now.
Ooh.
Actually 31st. He's just off the back. Yeah. Oh, Danny McCrowan gets a tap, gets pushed sideways, gets hit again, hit 3 times there. McCrowan will be absolutely livid with that one. That's put him all the way back. And another incident, as we see everyone just forgetting that the tyres are cold, guys. Got to just take it a little bit easy. Further up through the field, though. Yeah. And we're seeing some changes with Daniel Poulton now up into 7th. Ryan Palmer has moved up 8 spots into 6th position. What an awesome start for him.
Aaron Shinn's going pit road. Joshua's going pit road early. So using the different strategies, saying, I want to get out of this shenanigans. I want clear air, put my banker laps in, I'll race my own race, and we'll see how it pans out later on. But Chris Bleakley at the front there. You mentioned that as well too. Ryan Palmer, what a solid job. But there's more shenanigans occurring on track. Josh is involved. Luke's involved. Everything's happening. Danny P's trying to fight Ryan Palmer as well too for the battle for P6
There's a huge amount going on. We've got some support for Kyle Ridley in the chat. G'day, Courtney. Welcome to the coverage. And the boss man himself pointing out, hey, this is a long race. Maybe take it down and watch, guys.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. Lap 1 is probably not the time to be pushing as hard as we've been
Well,
seeing.
there's pushing for the lead at the moment too. Lachlan on Chris. Already on this one. You would have thought Kyle Ridley at the moment sitting in the back there just going, all right, I'll take this one, gentlemen. They had a massive gap that they, but this is a good thing about it. When you're up the front here in second Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, you've got to get that opportunity. You've got to open up that gap, because we do have some of those faster drivers coming through a little bit later on in the reverse grid, aka Jeremy, who's battling it out with Danny and battling it out with Dean. They're going to catch you at some point in the future if you can't put those consecutive laps on, but keep an eye on that one with Danny P.
Ryan Palmer side by side with Daniel Poulter. He shuts the door on him. Look at that move from Palmer. Closes him off. Cram is back. Good to see you, mate. Welcome back to yet another night.
We missed you in race 1. Yeah, what's going on? G'day.
I think he was just sitting back and taking it all in, and there was a lot to take in. Ryan Palmer, though, holding off Daniel Poulter for the moment. Some movements going on back here. Patrick Frame, Mick Poley, Daniel McCrollen. Oh, right in it. Have a look at this group. Poley bouncing over those curves. I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't cop a slowdown for that one. Lee Keldula is setting the fastest lap back in 5th, a 1:36.3. I tell you what, it is a very, very fast and frantic start here. Have a look at this pack we're watching right now as drivers going side by side. That's Josh Harris making his way through right behind Danny McCrowan. I don't know what has gotten into these drivers. This is only lap 3 of 32, folks.
Well, you want to see some action, my friend. Head up to Danny P at the moment. They're side by side with Ryan. He's phoning his way past. Ryan saying, Danny P, you're not going to get it. Even you got the fan boost behind you. I'm going to hold you off, son. And he's trying his absolute best forward versus Acura. And a little bit further down the road there, you have the Porsche there of Dean Jacobson. He's looking in the mirrors that one. Don't forget about Jeremy Washington in the background. He's dropped a couple of places, but he's certainly out of this race.
No, absolutely not. This little foursome here, a battle for 6th right now, though, would you believe? As Daniel Poulton finds himself side by side. Ryan Palmer's got the inside run into the hairpin, but can he maintain position? He's backed out. He's going to have to slow it right down. But can he park it right in front of Daniel Poulton? He does, and maintains that position. Ryan Palmer driving a beautiful defensive game. There is. That's, oh no. Mick Poley from Southern Cross, as well as Patrick Frame from Antic Motorsports getting caught up in that. Meanwhile, out in front, the first 3, Lachlan Burke, Kyle Ridley and Chris Bleakley. Bleakley dropping back a couple of spots, so it's now Burke and Ridley leading this race. We're all at 10% through,
Ryan
folks.
straight into the fence of the world champions! He couldn't quite make it into there. I'm not sure if there's contact. There probably would have been. Ryan Palmer and Dean Jackson could have got into each other. This is huge. Absolutely. He's parked in right on the racing point. He has to flip it around. Wait for a gap there. If
See
gap
if we can
car...
figure out what has happened. Absolutely huge. That one.
Then
Let's
it'll
go
almost be
back
on the
and
limits of
take a
safety
look.
car. Yeah.
Dean Jacobson and Ryan Palmer both caught up in that. Direct Designs replay. Oh, Ryan
So
Palmer.
he's already lost it. Yeah,
He'd
in
already
the
lost
corner.
at that point, and then Dean Jacobson just absolutely cops it.
And
Let's
they've
take a
blocked
look
it.
here.
And Ryan Palmer's currently, just to let you know,
Palmer's had a
sitting in
nudge.
the middle of the track at the
Ryan
moment too,
Palmer
not
had a nudge
moving.
under brakes there from Daniel Poulter.
Yeah, and he had to wait a long time to spin this around, because you got to remember, you got a pack of 20-something plus cars coming around, and he's still sitting out on the exit of that corner down the main straightaway in the middle of the road.
Danny P was
on
on his
the
way
racing
into the
grid.
pits and hasn't wanted to wait for Palmer to actually initiate his turn, maybe? Oh, that is a very, very interesting moment. And
He's still sitting there.
If
And
I'm
look
not
at Ryan
mistaken,
Palmer. There's got to be a safety car. Ryan
yeah,
Palmer was
safety
sitting in
car
the
has been
middle of the
called.
road on
Safety
the
car has been
start-finish
called.
line. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be. And watch the field dive in here, because we know
everybody has to come in.
we
Absolutely
know they're
take
going to need just
advantage.
the tiniest top up of fuel. Take a little bit more dive in here, though. You've got Washington, King, Harris, McCrone, just straight lining it here. Forget the chicane. We're going
I
straight
love the
into the pits
safety
here,
car.
folks.
I love the safety car with a flashing like that. We got that one. Thank you very much. This is MC Motorsport and Simple Broadcasting. Doing
We'll
complicated,
chat about that one
fancy
later, I'm
graphics.
sure. It's all about the fancy graphics, isn't it? Now, not everyone going in. This is interesting. We did see last week that with the right amount of safety car laps and the right fuel-saving strategy, it can be done. You can make the race distance without refueling, or at least you could at Zolder. Now, whether or not Josh Marsh has that in mind, or perhaps he's just decided, not yet, I'll wait for the next safety car, because let's be honest, the chances of another safety car are pretty high here.
There is, yeah. In Formula One, of course, in Canada, there is practically a 89% chance of a safety car forming. So, and they don't have 35 cars on the grid, mate. They only have 10.
Yeah,
20. Sorry, my apologies, no one. So yeah, I mean, you're doubling the field essentially.
Yeah, it's a big field here in this Domains2U GT3 Championship, and look, it really it's a big ask. The boss man himself, you're not making this the end on the starting fuel. Well, okay, fair call. We'll see what happens then.
We grab some moonshine, we shove it in the back of the car there. You'd be surprised what happens, mate, when you get a bit of shine.
I'm just surprised at the number of drivers who haven't gone into the pits. I wonder if they didn't hear the safety car call.
Well, they will come around now, mate, if they will, but they'll drop, like, once again, the 2025 stock exchange. So will they stay out? I mean, track position's always key to a degree, as you know, especially on this track, and Josh knows it. 27 places gain there for the number one Porsche.
Yeah, certainly making his way through, and like look at the front end of this pack, right? Josh Marsh up 27, Charlie Milliken up 18, Mortimer up 19, Bakir up 17, Harris up 22, Patrick Frame up 10. They've just wandered on past the rest of the field, who've all gone into the pits. But that front six didn't go into the pits. Kyle Ridley's managed to get back out in 7th place ahead of Ronald
top
Long.
of the pops. Yeah, he's top of the pit stops.
Effective race leader, you'd have to think. The question is, does he manage to take on enough fuel in 18 seconds in his pit box to make it from here to the end? It's still a long way to go.
And a short time to get there. Well, not really. I mean, it's a long time to get there, actually. 28 laps, Josh Marsh. So to give you a recap of that one, the top 6 drivers have not boxed at all. Kyle did, top of the pops, number 7 machine in 7th place. Then you've got a couple of Ronald that didn't in 23 positions gain in P8, and you got 9th and 10th that did go down. Then you got a stack of the field of Chris Bakley, Aaron, Jeremy, Henry, Dan. But we do see Matt heading in, Ronald
both going
and yes, so they're saying I can't stretch it, but
that's a really tough position for them, though, isn't it? It's a really tough position because they're going to end up at the back of this field. But do they actually feel confident that they're going to see another safety car at the right time for them to drop into the pits later when everyone else has made the stop here? I mean, they're just going to have to take their medicine, I think.
There's 2 places, Jared. Yeah. Take your medicine, of course, even though it doesn't taste that nice, although medicine tastes nice these days. It's going to be a situation of the big pile-ups, the bumper cars we saw down in the La Ping, the hairpin turn, and this is the first major accident we've seen at the World Champions. So they're the 2 places that could fumble the pack, could call race control to say, it's too unsafe, let's pull a safety car out. They're the places, and of course the only way that happens generally is you bunch up all the cars. What's happened under a safety car? We bunch up all the cars.
Yeah, no, I've got to be honest, I'm really nervous for this restart. I am really nervous. We know that safety cars tend to create more safety cars, and Montreal is a prime track for it. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we end up under a safety car again within about 30 seconds of the restart. But
what would the chat do? What would you do as drivers if you're in a position, aka like Josh, Charlie, Trev, that's up the road, haven't gone down pit road? What if you're further in the field there? Like the front runners that potentially we thought would be Jeremy Washington, of course, winning the championship. Danny's down in P14. Josh, fantastic job that he did in that P2 finish in the previous races in P15. Reese Wakefield, you can never count him out, the 969 machine, down to P18. What do you do?
Close your eyes and hope, I reckon.
Just close your eyes and hope and forget your braking markers to turn 1 and just gas it.
You know, just thinking about this, Ronald Long and Matt Bakir both going in for that late pit stop. I do kind of wonder if they've looked at it and gone, well, I don't want to be in the middle of this pack on the restart, so I don't mind ending up down the back.
You'd have enough time to react if there's a big pile-up, isn't it? You've got about 20 cars ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. Safety car coming in this lap. So you see the Mercedes off and away. Rich Curry just advising that the drivers pray, because that's about all they can do at this point. I think he's probably on the money. Josh Marsh will be feeling pretty comfortable.
Mitch, where are you tonight, boss man? You can't be taking the night off, my friend. No, well, you are joining the show. Thank you very much for the fantastic MC Motorsports. He does a lot behind the scenes. Boss man deserves the night off. Sit back, relax, get your popcorn. Put your seat in the upright position, boss man, because you're about to enjoy a fantastic motor race here in Canada.
The line of cars stretches almost the entire length of this straight. Gives you an idea of just the size of this field here in the Domains2U GT3 Championship. Josh Marsh has control of the field. As we get ready to go green flag racing again.
I'm loving the Porsche up the front, mate. You can get on the loud pedal a lot louder than the rest of the cars there. Porsches will do Porsche things. Danny goes in to pit road. But anyway, we're racing.
Interesting. I think he's just crossed the pit entry, and this is the problem with some of these tracks. And Danny P is still out there.
No, Danny McCrollin. Sorry, my
Danny
apologies.
McCrollin.
Actually, yeah,
Right,
Danny
sorry.
on the pit road. Yeah.
Interesting.
Why did he wait an extra lap to do that? But hey, who knows?
Oh, look, honestly, this is not the lap where I want to be out on track right now. It is just screams danger to me to make our way through once again. So far, so good. I don't want to jinx it, but so far, an awesome restart. Not too much movement throughout the field, but as they settle back in, I'm sure we're going to start to see this, and you already see Chris Bleakley and Jeremy Washington side by side as they make their way down towards the next chicane.
Gets
They're going to
in here.
sort it out. No, they managed to get back into single file there. But, I tell you what, there is not a lot of room. Right behind them, Henry King and Danny P are getting a little bit side by side as well. Daniel Poulton looks for the inside. Here he goes. He's looking to take two spots at once. Just avoids. I think that might have been Lee Caldulis coming up.
Yeah,
behind.
Lee almost hit him on the anchors.
But Daniel Poulton has made the most of that. He's jumped out and he is now right there with Chris Bleakley. So he's gotten ahead of Henry King through that.
Yeah, remember Chris was the man leading this race. So
What's just
going,
happened?
there's been a carbon fibre flying off.
Daniel Poulton's just lost his rear bar. Maybe there was contact there from Caldulis.
I'd say so. He's gone to pit road. Daniel has gone into pit road. So, Dan the man electing, I've lost a front fender or something like that. We couldn't quite capture in the pictures, but that's the situation.
There's a rear end that dropped off there.
He just came down to pit road, remember, on that earlier safety car. So he's gone back in again, maybe for a top up and said, I've had enough. We'll determine that one. So the Daniel fans, please stay tuned on that one. We'll get you a feedback soon enough. Josh Marsh still in the lead.
So Josh Marsh out to 2 seconds. He is absolutely loving that, and he's trying to extend as much of a lead as he possibly can at this point to give himself some space, because he's going to have to make a pit stop at some stage.
Yeah, but he's in a good place, remember. Those Porsches, we've proven how difficult they are to overtake because of the exit speed. As long as they nail that entry perfect, and then again, look at now Kyle try to nail Patrick for P5 position.
This is a bold place to try and make a move. It's done, though. Ridley goes through ahead of Frame. That was very brave, really relying on Frame pulling out of that particular corner. And Kyle Ridley right now setting himself up beautifully for the rest of this race. He's got to watch these cars bearing down behind him, though, as he tries to make a move on Travis Harris. Sticking to the back end of that BMW, but Patrick Frame right there with him. He wants to take that position back as well. And
yeah, we can do it, Paddy.
Right on the tail.
You got to be gambling, mate. Red, black, or green. Don't get the double zeros and the zeros. We're going to the casino straight here in Canada. I would just tuck in behind there. Wall of Champions, we saw massive accidents there before in the past. Just to bite your time, but then the exit speed wasn't quite enough to get it done. More so than anything, I'd say Travis and Trev show might be the overtake to look at very soon.
Good well be. We're looking back at Patrick Frame here from Kyle Ridley's McLaren, and yeah, I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of space between them, but Ridley just has the drive out of the corners. Huge pace as he's coming out.
McLaren, mate, you know, they're winning races in Formula 1 these days, so, you know, you want to
a
hear
little
them.
bit of that technology trickling down here, perhaps. Kyle Ridley, though, only down one spot from where he started.
We just need a cut shot to Zach Brown right now and then come back to the pictures.
Might have to throw a few of those in there, I reckon. Why not? The story right now, though, Josh Marsh extending that lead almost out to 4 seconds. Charlie Milliken just doesn't have the pace to try and reel him in. So Marsh has saved everything he's got for this run right now. You've got to think that he's going to go. Travis Harris. Travis Harris has had a big moment. The racing for
Travis
James
in the fence facing the wrong direction.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Let's see what's happened there. The iRap Designs replay. Oh, he's just gotten a little bit loose and did an awesome job to not end up back in front of the racing line. But that is huge damage on that BMW.
It'll buff out, Trav. Don't worry, mate. We've got you covered. Pit crew down there. Ted will get that all buffed out for you.
Trying
But
to get
unfortunately,
it
we'll drop him to
30th.
30th. You mentioned it, mate. That's the battle still resumes. Trav, Carl, Patrick, Lachlan out of the World Champions and into another lap. Lap 10 of 32 here in the big one. 23 to go, mate.
Still a long way. There's still plenty of time. Kyle Ridley, he is looking for any way he can find past Trev Mortimer, at the same time trying desperately to hold off Patrick Frame. The battle is just so intense here, and this is a completely different set of drivers up the front of this field to what we saw last race. Take a look a little further back though. Aaron Schotter side by side with Luke Hyde. Not a lot of room there as they squeeze on through. Schotter taps the wall. They've gone into each other.
Yep.
Oh, Hayden lucky to hang on to that Schotter.
I think Washington capitalised on that one as well too. So yeah, thank you very much, battle gentlemen. Ain't over yet.
He absolutely did, as did Chris Bleakley, who's managed to get up alongside Hayden now. No, sorry, that's Reece Wakefield.
Don't you bring Reece into the party, my friend. They'll start blowing all the
How
cars
has he
away.
made his way all the way back up from the back of the field? He's now back up into 11th. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, I know, but
You should
where
not
did
be
he come
surprised.
from? He's just been chipping away at this the whole race.
Reece is
Look
doing
at
these
this
things.
pack of cars, mate.
Yeah, we're looking at a huge battle currently. You know, pitches for
Oh, this
P3
is
downwards.
terrifying. This is terrifying. They've managed to negotiate it. A little bit of a touch there, maybe for the Lamborghini of Henry King. But, that was a lot of cars coming into that hairpin.
Chris Bakley is doing okay at the moment, and P9 is in that gaggle of cars that you saw earlier in the pictures, just for the fan boost out there. Thank you for that. But Patrick putting pressure on Trevor for P4, P5. There's some Mercedes. We don't see those Mercedes very often, but Tony Wolf will be going absolutely fanatical out there if he can hold off the Acura behind him there of Patrick. Once again, names we don't really familiar with. Is seeing Chris Blakely on your screens.
Yeah, Luke Hayden, of course, we're familiar with. He's been racing around here a fair bit over the last couple of seasons. But Bleakley doing an awesome job now. If I'm not mistaken, the 1-9 racing entry, I believe Chris Bleakley responsible for a number of liveries that you might see out on track here as well. He's a bit of a livery designer as well. We've got a few of them amongst the driver stable.
I want a picture of Jared on the front of my car, Chris. We'll go later.
Oh, mate, there's some interesting ones getting around. Trev Mortimer now under massive pressure.
That's a push. That's a push. He hit him in the back fender. That's squeezing on by in the middle of that one. You've got Aaron Gilbert in the mix.
And Mortimer's going to have a massive slowdown there as well that he's going to have to deal with. So now Lachlan Burke is the leader of this little pack in P4. So he's got some clear air ahead of him, and he can see Kyle Ridley and Charlie Morgan just to the Phillip Road. Look at the gap now to Josh Marsh, though, 8 seconds in front. Ridley finally gets his shot at trying to close that gap down. He's going to have to put in a huge amount of work. 20 odd laps left to do it, so plenty of time. But
Charlie hitting the pit road.
Okay, so he needed to make that pit stop. We knew that Charlie hadn't made his stop. Patrick Frame going in as well for his first stop. Trev Mortimer stays out. Josh Marsh now, look, 8 seconds out in front. He's going to have to think about his pit stop. He's going to have to time it beautifully. And,
he could fuel save, couldn't he? Could fuel save a little bit with that cap. We'll see how that pans out later.
I don't think he's going to make it. I'm going to trust the
no,
boss
not
man.
to make it to the end, but fuel save for a gap somewhere along the line there to see how it pans out. You've got to remember some of these drivers that did box earlier only boxed on lap 4. So they have enough to go to the end.
Lucas Baker, welcome back to the coverage, mate. Good to see you again. And confirming Bleakley has done all of the Southern Cross liveries as well. So Southern Cross Racing represented here by the likes of Coley, unfortunately not having his best race here tonight. Currently sitting back in
This
eighth.
guy got Chris Blakely. speaking of Chris at the moment, he's in a hot zone. You throw a dingo's nest over this one, my friend. It's getting... get your boomerangs out.
Nest. Look at Kyle Ridley starting to pull away. He's opening up a big gap already, almost out to 3 seconds over Lachlan Burke, but notably hasn't closed the gap to Josh Marsh. That's interesting. So Ridley's got some serious pace over this trio of Burke, Gilbert and Washington. I think Washington maybe is getting a bit held up at the moment. But Ridley is not closing the gap. In fact, Marsh is extending it out to almost 8.2. So the gap has slowed in terms of how much it's widening at the front end. But Josh Marsh, he's I don't know where he's been hiding this pace. So we see Jeremy Washington gets the drive past Aaron Gilbert. He's going to be on the right side of the track, left side of the track, to be fair, to make his way through. It's the right side to be on, which is the left side, gets through and just cements his position in front of Aaron Gilbert and starts to pull away once again. Lucas Baker just pointing out that Mick Polly had a big Saturday with Lucas in the Bathurst 6 hour. Yeah, look, that'll certainly put you a little bit under the weather for a couple of days, I'm sure. It's not a short race by any stretch. I hope you did all right.
Bathurst?
Wow. Yeah, tell us how you finished that one up, because that is a long time lapping that panorama.
Yeah, no, you mean the mountain laps you, if you're lucky at that one. Chris is putting some pressure on Trevi at the moment. Trevi's up 16 places, but Trevi has not been down the pit road at the moment. Chris did that on lap 4. He spent 21 seconds in pit road, and he is trying to not spend 21 seconds behind Trevi in that P5, P6, P7 position at the moment. That is on the tailpipe. And as the chat has alerted to us, keep an eye on Chris, number 2.
Absolutely, and we've seen here with Reece Wakefield just tucked in behind Trev Mortimer, Road Racing Australia Mercedes. Had that off earlier, but doesn't look like he caught too much damage from it, which is a good sign for sure. We see a black flag for Lee Kildulis has just come through in race control, so he'll be serving a drive-through at some stage.
Oh, that's kind of Lee.
I don't know if that's that little rear end tap we saw earlier. Set that off.
Lee up in the championship. Chris is going to make a move. He's going to try to make a move, but where?
This is the
Trevi's covered him off.
Got to get that drive so early, but Bleakley goes up to Wakefield. Wakefield looking to go around the outside now.
Yep.
Does he have the grip, or has he actually just given up another spot? Because Luke Hayden is right there. Reece Wakefield seizes the opportunity. He's side by side. Trev Mortimer still has the better side here on the way through this next turn. But Wakefield gets too pushy, ends up getting sideways. He's going to get spun around. He's going to get hit. We've got another massive incident, and Wakefield comes off the worst for wear out of all of that. We can see Aaron Schotter as well.
Yep, Simon might have been involved in that one. There's a lot of players here. And that's still presumed, actually. Simon's a little bit further up the road. He's behind Henry King. We'll get some replays of that one.
To try and get going. Reece Wakefield up and running again, but he's back to 27th. Just like that, all the work that he's done comes undone.
Jeremy Washington, the P4. He's going to be loving hearing that on the radio.
Now, James Salhani, the SLM Motorsport McLaren, had nowhere to go except into the side of Reece Wakefield. Look at the damage on the front end of that thing. He's going to have to come into the pits and get that repaired, I'm sure.
Box might be the call. We're going to get around the Casino Straight, obviously, and then that's a run down to your pit lane. And communicate to the other drivers as well, too, if you can, to let them know you're going to be on the racing line going straight through. But Jeremy Washington on the back of Lachlan. Jeremy Washington from the number 1 machine there for the McLaren. He's got some speed. We may take him in the turns 1 and 2, perhaps. We can look at it.
So it's a big ask. I think at this point, he's got to be pretty comfortable sitting in 4th and just ride out the rest of this. Trev Mortimer's gone into the pits. Mick Poley, out of all of that, has picked up an extra 5 spots, so he's up into 13th. The Southern Cross Racing entry right there, the resplendent green and gold on that Porsche. You can't miss him in a crowd, that's for sure. And then
Australian crowd you could, but
well, look at Australian crowd, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Josh Benno, all of a sudden, finds himself out in a bit of clear air, up into 7th. So he's managed to negotiate all of that relatively cleanly.
Josh will be a key factor to look at later on. I totally agree with you that one.
Oh,
Joshy wants to get a good podium-to-podium result. I think that'll be good. P2 in the first heat race. If he can get himself a nice podium here, he'll be absolutely laughing all the way to the points bank.
Now let's take a look at this. Keep your eye on Reese Wakefield, the gold Antic Motorsports car. Gets in, up and over. This is perhaps a little further back. But you can see he was right there with Bleakley, with Trevor Waterlife ahead as well.
Got to be Lepine, yeah.
Just trying to figure out, I suppose, what he's thinking, because this is right back at the hairpins. This is a little way back yet before the issue.
Oh, it happens in Wall of Champions.
No, this is
where
it was at
turn 1. Oh, that's World Champions. You're right. Yep, there it is. Oh, nowhere to go.
Absolutely nowhere to go there. I wonder if we can get a bit of a better view just a little further back. Here it is. This is where Wakefield tries to go around the outside of Mortimer. Is there contact? Oh, look.
Oh, it's hard to say we locked up.
You've got to say Wakefield wasn't leaving a lot of room there for Mortimer.
How does other cars avoid them as well too on the chicane? Flying flat out as you want to get a good exit. Wow.
Yeah. That was an interesting one, to say the least. I wish Race Control all the best in looking at all of that. As we keep our eye on Josh Benno, take a look a little further back. And here's your answer. Lucas Baker just asking about Polly and Bleakley. So Mick Polly has made his pit stop, as has Chris Bleakley. Most of these drivers making their stop on lap 4 under that safety car. And so as a result, everyone pretty evenly matched. Now Mick Polly side by side with Simon Caplett. Caplett backs it out. Mick Polly a little bit off the racing line, but recovers nicely. And he pulls away. He'll be looking to chase down Dean Power. Henry King, meanwhile, has Dean Power right on his tail as they both lap around behind James Delhoney, who hasn't come in to have that repaired yet. That McLaren holding up surprisingly well for no front bar on it. And yeah, look, this front end of the field completely different to what I was expecting. Josh Marsh out to almost 10 seconds now. As we take a look further forward, Kyle Ridley has Lachlan Burke to just keep an eye on in the mirror, but Jeremy Washington, he's quite happily tucking in behind Burke now.
He has. He's confident on the exit speeds as well too as he gets on the lad pedal. He gets even the windscreen wipers for a good measure as well to say I want a clear picture of the number 54 on the road there that I want to get for the final step on the podium. For now, he's throwing everything into him. He's saying, all right, welcome to Montreal.
Washington sends it up the inside. I think Lachlan Burke just went, you know what, mate, that's yours, because he was pushing very hard, and you know, better to make it to the end than fight it out and end up in the wall on lap 17. I noticed that Ryan Palmer has joined us in the YouTube chat, which means he is very much out of the car. That thing is really in the pits for almost 14 minutes. I don't think he'll be taking any further place in tonight's race. Look at this field. Just look at the lineup of manufacturers we've got and compare that to last week when it was Acura. Tonight, a couple of McLarens mixing it up, a couple of Porsches up there. We've got a Mustang in 5th. Chris Bleakley doing a good job to still represent the NSX, but it's a completely different field to what I was expecting at this point in the race.
Well, you invited me over, so I poured linseed oil in half the cars just to make it interesting, my friend. That's what it's all about. You see, you got to get me. You called me up there and said, "Okay, Peter's going to help you out in this one." I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna even Stevens."
This is Ryan Palmer trying to get rolling again after the early incident. You can see that.
Yeah, that's what caused the caution.
That initial safety car. That's that push from Daniel Poulton that's put him into the wall over the curb, and that's what's done it.
How do you feel about that one, Ryan? Place over.
I think he's going to be so keen on that, honestly.
Keep the curse words a little friendly in the chat there as well too. But hey, it's one race, my friend. We're 3 races down. We have plenty more action to go. As you can see, there's action Jackson at the moment there, back in P12, my friend. Because there is a lot of cars all gangling all over the place. Dingo nesting.
Going on. Simon Caplett now finds himself under a lot of pressure. Dean Jacobson right on his tail, the BE Electrical Race on Oz Porsche. And then, of course, Luke Hyden. What a send from Hyden. Can he actually get it pulled up and complete the move, though? That was a massive dive. I am amazed that he's managed to maintain that. Nathan Bowman from Maximum Effort Racing right there as well. I have no idea how Hayden managed to pull that up. None at all. Nathan Bowman looking to the inside as well, just backs out of that one, allows the space for Dean Jacobson to get back on track. But Simon Caplet, he's
Josh
just
Marsh
giving
is
himself
in.
a little bit more breath.
Right,
Josh Marsh is in. Okay, there we go. So let's keep our eyes now. Kyle Ridley, here he comes. There's no way Marsh is getting out ahead of Ridley. In fact, Marsh, I'm expecting, will end up probably somewhere down in about 10th or 15th as all these cars come through. But Kyle Ridley now has himself a commanding lead out by almost 3
Yeah, but we're halfway through
seconds.
this race, and they box back on lap 4. Do they have enough? There's an
that's the
18
question,
second
isn't
pit
it?
stop. I mean, I don't think you can go to the end. I don't think you can go to the end. What do you reckon, Ryan? I know you unfortunately have retired from the session, but you may give some insider information there. And give us a little TED talk about can they make it into there. Luke is also going to pit road.
Travis Harris had a bit of a moment there further back in the field, and unfortunately has found himself having to get rolling again. It cost him a couple of places. But Kyle Ridley now, look, that's actually Travis right behind him while he's a lap down. Kyle Ridley now holding 2.7 seconds over Jeremy Washington, but watch Washington's move from here. This is where you will see the absolute pace that Jeremy Washington is able to generate when he needs to. Josh Marsh, there we go, back on track. He's in 12th. So regardless, he's up 16 spots from where he started. That is a phenomenal drive from him so far to have not made the stop. Well, Simon Caplet almost forced out of position there. They're going 3 wide, 4 wide. This is dangerous.
No.
Caplet gets a bit of a nudge. The 4 Porsches, the Mustang behind, quite happy to back it off, and you see the lights flashing from Lee Keldulis, probably to say, hey guys, just calm down, we'd like to make it home in one piece still. Those Porsches absolutely buzzing around. You can see there, Nathan Bowman wants to get through. Let's keep our eyes on this one because it is Porsche,
Yeah, you've got to
Porsche, Porsche.
Yeah, 10 to 14th is Porsche, my friend.
Yeah, Mick Polly's just leading the pack of Porsches. He's almost like the Pied Piper.
We're like
there,
a
or he's
Gem
little far
Visipan
ahead.
on an Autobahn, aren't we, with the amount of Porsches here this evening?
It's not something that we've seen a lot of, honestly, this season. But tonight, they're all grouping nicely in that front 10. Lachlan Burke up in 3rd as well. But the story right now, it's almost echoing the Formula 1 results with McLaren 1-2.
Oh, and Maxi crying in the corner. Yeah, I get what you mean. All right. As Ryan's just stated, he won't be disclosing the way he feels about this race. No, and I appreciate that. You're manning up a lot more than Max Verstappen would when he loses a race, put it that way. So good on you for soldiering on and enjoying the show, at least from the pit lane. But hey, it's one race at a time. It's only 3rd race of the season. We've got plenty more to go.
So this is what drop rounds are for at the end of the day. Take a look a little bit further back. Patrick Frame in the middle of this pack right now as well, with Trev Mortimer as well. Ronald Long looking to make a bit of a move and perhaps hold off Patrick Frame at the same time. But you've got Chris Lashbrook from ADHD, a fair way back from Dan Mirko, but leading this pack right now in the battle for 20th effectively. This is a great thing about a field of this size, right? No matter where you sit, you're going to find a battle somewhere. And these guys have found each other. It's like finding love, although perhaps a little more, I don't know, a little more smoke and noise and all that sort of stuff. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong.
Let me go Dagger, baby. Dagger!
Maybe.
That's where you're going to find some smoke and love. At the moment, you're going to find Josh Marsh finding his pit crew as the Tulip Racing entry heads down into pit road. And
Bowman and Jacobson side by side. Nathan Bowman has the better line, forces Jacobson very, very wide. Nice move there from Nathan Bowman, and he slots into 11th. Dean Jacobson will have to settle for following him through. Right now, the front end of the pack starting to get nicely spaced out, but Jeremy Washington has cut that lead down. You can see down to 1.8 now. Kyle Ridley needs to just keep a bit of an eye on those mirrors because Washington will be coming for him at this rate.
You got to be careful, but at the same time, Kyle's got to understand that the fact that Well, they're in the same cars, aren't they? So it's going to be driver versus machine. It's almost like they're teammates, aren't they, in the McLaren team? No prior orders between these two drivers. Carl has to defend from Jeremy, who wants to maintain this race lead. Both boxed on lap 4, so even Stevens there.
Josh Marsh, after leaving pit lane, has gone back into pits. I'm not sure what's happened, but Josh Marsh just spent another minute in the pits, so maybe just getting some damage repaired. That's got to sting, because he was having a really good run up until that point.
Got a lap down as well too.
I'll just see if we can catch just what damage is sustained. It will have been in amongst that pack of Porsches. Let's take a look, because it must be something that he's sustained here, you'd have to think. Runs off the grass
4 wide in this picture, so I guarantee there's practically something that's going to happen here, my friend.
So what's the damage that Josh Marsh has had?
That's just
I'm not
scrape,
seeing
isn't it? No.
I'm not seeing it. You know,
Thanks,
he's left pit lane at the start of this lap.
Unless it goes into the World of Champions, and that's potentially is going to be going up close to the fence, go to the racing line right now, switch it out to the right side, and then get your braking points. Now see Apex as well. Gets on the exit low pedal. I don't think
I'm
he's
a little bit
there.
at a loss, honestly. I'm not seeing anywhere where he's copped any damage. So Dean's there on the back there of Norman Dorman. Maximum Effort Racers versus the B Electrical Race on Oz machine. That's your paddle car in your pictures Here
for
comes Jacobson.
11th and 12th, mate.
Gets great drive out of that turn. Bowman will be on the inside as they make that hairpin. He makes that very difficult. Doesn't leave Jacobson any room at all. And Jacobson has to back out again. Look for the drive out of the corner. He does have it there, though. He's right on the tail of Nathan Bowman as they make their way down towards the final chicane. Kyle Ridley setting a 1:36.4, his fastest lap of the race. But Jeremy
Dean needs to
Washington
electrify
continues
this
to close
overtake, doesn't he? He's got the power
on the outside. Not going to happen, surely. He's
That's
made
bold
it
and
stick.
brave.
Can he actually hold it together? He has. D. Jacobson, a stellar pass on Nathan Bowman. That was very unlikely at the best of times, and yet he's somehow made that stick.
Why you
Jacobson
doubted Dean?
finds up 11th.
How dare you doubted Dean?
To be on the outside there, he really had to come on those brakes so late.
We are Dean's, mate. We risk it for the biscuit. Even if it's done. He risked it for the biscuit, and he's going to make his way currently up into P11. Further back in the field, we do have a little bit of shenanigans happening. Josh Harris and Lee Kaladeus. Remember, they are battling for some crucial championship points as well, too, in this one. And they're making their way up to the field. Lee's down 9. And then in this race, he doesn't want to be screaming 999. He wants to be screaming podium.
Seems unlikely at this point, doesn't it, from P15. But they're on the back of Simon Caplet. Harrison Keldoulis. I do wonder. Here we go. Here goes Keldoulis up the inside. Makes contact with Harris. That'll get called in. I'm going to predict it now. I'm seeing another drive through in Keldoulis' future with that one. Reese Wakefield, meanwhile, continues to try and battle through. Makes the pass on Ronald Long, so he's gone down to 30th, back up again, and then back to 27th, and now he's back up again to 22nd.
Yeah, it's from the outhouse to the penthouse to the outhouse to the penthouse, and Rick knows where Grandpa hides the moonshine from Grandma as well too, so he knows how to get it done.
Wiley Blair and Dylan Thomas both been fairly quiet this race, but right now, again, side by side. Who's on the brakes first? They're on the brakes at the same time. They're going side by side through this chicane.
There's
Dylan
a wall.
Thomas backs it
There's
out.
a wall. Wow.
And Dan Mirko makes the most of that to close it up. Simon Caplet, meanwhile, dealing with Keldoulis and just managing to hold the right line to keep Keldoulis at bay for the moment. Looking up front, Kyle Ridley, look who's in the mirror. That's Jeremy Washington. He closed within a second now.
He has. Jeremy said we're bound for Botany Bay. If you're talking about the bays, my friend, Carl says I'm top of the pops, baby. And Jeremy, once again, the man from Adelaide, is hounding him in big time here. Lachlan's down the road by 4 seconds. And Jeremy doing Jeremy things. Jeremy's capitalising at the moment on the fact that championship leader He's not in some big points here.
No, this is going to be fantastic for his championship standings. Josh Benno in 6th is still in line for some decent points. But yeah, you've got to think this is going to hurt Reece Wakefield. He's thinking back to his first 2 rounds, though. I think this will be his drop round, and he'll still stay in touch, thankfully. But this is the thing, right? Once you use that drop round out, you can't afford to have another round where you do have incidents like Wakefield's had tonight. You only get 1 to drop out of your overall season.
Gambling on that big loss, isn't it? Like, is that the race that I want to just throw out there and say, okay, yeah, I've got a refund, it's fine, I can do it all again. But you don't know how it's going to pan out later in the season, isn't it? When you have a bad race.
I always prefer to have that race up your sleeve if you can.
Exactly, I'd say that. And at the moment, Carl's going to have to fight this one. It's McLaren versus McLaren. Cut scene to Zach Brown sitting there with a big smile on his face there. Don't hug the drivers, please, Zach Brown. You're going to cause him damage. But I tell you what, as Aussies, we should be very much proud of the orange team, and we should be proud of these 2 drivers at the moment in P1 and P2.
Absolutely. 2 McLaren's showing us how it's done. Well, Jeremy Washington, I reckon if he makes it past Ridley at this point, he's going to show a very, very clean tail very quickly. Because at the rate he's pulled up, he's definitely shown why he's wearing that number 1 on the side of the car here this season. Last season's champion, doing all of the Jeremy Washington things tonight, up 5 positions from the start. And he is quite content at the moment to just pressure Ridley. He's not looking to push too hard.
Yeah. So who would be the Lando Norris and who would be the Oscar in this situation? I don't want to put any of these 2 Australian drivers in that situation.
No sooner have you said that. Lucas Baker in the chat. Ridley is Lando. Washington is Oscar.
Oh! You stole my words right out of my mouth. Thank you.
He's predicted that for you.
All right.
Simon
I
Kaplan
think
has
we're
done
all
a stellar
Australians,
job back
but they're
here.
all Oscars. But go ahead.
They are. Simon Kaplan's done a stellar job holding off Lee Caldulis. They're side by side into the chicane again. Caplet pushes hard. Caldulis forces his way through a bit of rubbing paddles there
until turn 1.
But have a look at this. Does Caplet have the pace to still be on the inside as they come down here?
He will, and he'll maintain it.
He's not going to get the under overdone. Or is he?
Oh.
Gets the driver a little bit of a nudge there for Caldulis. I tell you what, I love to see Caplet putting this pressure on, because that was a very, very cheeky push through from Caldulis, who obviously just wants to get moving, but Caplet wasn't really holding him up. Unfortunately, Caplet just makes a small error there, and now he's got to defend from Josh Harris, who makes a pass.
Wow! That's Daniel Ricciardo style there. That's remnants of Monza, baby. Wow!
Harris and Caplet side by side under the GoDaddy.com sign. Daniel Poulton has just set the
right now,
fastest
locked in.
lap, 135.7, all the way back in 26th place for Daniel Poulton.
If you want exciting racing, I look at Jeremy Washington right now, putting a pressure right now on Kyle, and says, Washington, my friend, number 1 on my car. Kyle says, doesn't matter what number you have in your car, I'm going to be still ahead of you, the pig machine, top of the pops, the top of the timesheets.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now, isn't it, to see what sort of defensive chops Ridley is capable of putting up. We've not really had an opportunity to see too much of him so far this season. Big moment there, but he gets it under control and continues. So he's still definitely pushing that McLaren hard to stay ahead of Washington. Washington, look, he's not the type to jump too quickly at this, but we're getting closer and closer to the end. 5 laps to go. Courtney Platt's in the chat saying Ridley loves being ridden like that. I suspect there might be a little bit of, I'm not going to say first-hand knowledge necessarily, but I suspect you two might know each other just quite.
And he's Victorian, my friend. He's definitely the number 1 papaya orders McLaren driver, because he's from Victoria, if that's the case. He's from Elizabeth.
Washington. He's
so wherever Elizabeth is.
Here.
Yeah.
Can he get the drive out of the corner? Again, Ridley just gets the foot down. He's doing an amazing job of getting power down out of corners, and that's what's keeping him in P1 right now. Washington's obviously quicker based on how much he's closed this gap down, but you know, being fast and actually passing here two different things again. Danny P sets another fastest lap, but from all the way down in P26 with only 5 laps to go, that's it's not going to be enough by a long stretch. The battle here will be for the top step of the podium. I just hope both these drivers make it intact after the night that we've had so far. I'd like to see him finish up both crossing the line in functional cars, please and thank you, gentlemen. Lachlan Burke, another 5.5 seconds back, has a 4-second gap to Aaron Gilbert. So if he can hold it together, yeah, if he can hold it together, he'll be pretty comfortable, I suspect, in taking a P3. But Jeremy
now, how's
Washington
this?
stands the game the most.
Reese Wakefield, P20. Jeremy Washington, P2. About to be P1 if you get the move done. So, big points on offer here.
Line there for Ridley.
Ridley's got to know that one.
Where to go.
Yeah, and there's no prior orders here because there's no they're McLarens, but there's no proprietary colours. So Zach Brown doesn't have to get into a difficult decision to say whether it's a POM or an Australian. I can guarantee right now here in the MC Motorsports, it's Aussie, 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 1 2 1 2 1 1 1. Well, you know, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. There you go. That's how we do it in Australia. Yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah. It's Aussies. All right. So let them go. Let them battle, and let's see how it pans out.
Have a look at this. That's Wiley Blair having a few connection issues there again. That's got to be terrifying for Simon Kaplan and Dan Merker because they are racing in very, very close quarters. Throw a blanket over the three of them, but keep in mind that Wiley Blair on the inside in that Acura might disappear at any moment. Kaplan probably
what do you drive? I mean, you just love this car.
It's yeah, look, it's just been
I would
so
imagine
dominant.
you with the soccer mum kind of band there, with the kids taking the kids to school and stuff like that. Driving all slow and safe, and she read.
Not quite, my friend.
And Jared takes all the kids to school and stuff like that.
Look,
you know.
I do, but they rather enjoy it. I've got to be honest.
And then Jared gets on the racing rig and he puts in banker laps after banker laps.
Well, nothing quite like these guys do put in around Montreal, that's for sure. But Washington, he's maintaining this gap, isn't he? He's right on Ridley's tail, but Ridley's
He's trying to force him with a mistake.
Right moves.
He's going to throw the car around everywhere, but he's in the same car.
That's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what always gets me, and why I don't envy the stewards at all. Nothing wrong at all with Ridley moving across onto that line there to take the corner. But Jeremy Washington is going to start getting pretty frustrated with it. Because
Ridley has to do,
He's really taking he's very much taking the defensive line, but you'll see that he moves out onto the regular racing line as they come to the corner. And it's a very, very fine line between choosing your line as the leader and a reactionary blocking move. Now, Jeremy Washington's a smart driver.
Oh, Carl hit the fence a little bit. He needs to do the Josh line. And Josh has some P5, believe it or not. The man in P2 that did all that defensive work. He needs to take a card out of Josh's poker table. That's going to be the key. Because Josh did so well, didn't he, defending. And this time around, of course, Josh was doing it in Porsche. Now these guys are even Stevens between these two. But Kyle is on top of the timesheets, on the top of the pops, and on top of Jeremy Washington. Jeremy Washington at some point might get a little bit frustrated here. He can't get past Kyle.
That's it. The move for Washington, because he's managed to maintain such a tight gap, I'm going to call it here. The move for Washington is actually to follow Ridley, stay right on his tail. You've seen Ridley time and time again take the defensive line just like he is now, but last minute he's diving out to open up the corner. If Washington wants to get past, he's going to have to be right on Ridley's tail and actually stay on that inside line as Ridley moves across and be later on the brakes to force the pass. Now, I don't know if he's going to have many opportunities to get it done. This hairpin is probably about the only spot where he's going to be able to get that sort of move done, but it's going to require him being nose to tail with Ridley as they come up to it. And it's going to require him really forcing Ridley to take the defensive line to set that move up. It's going to be a bold move if he does put it on, because it's going to require absolute faith in the brakes. And I don't know that his tyres are going to have a huge deal of headroom in them to takes a look at the inside. There's no pass on here.
No, not here. Chuck us into the helmet cam, if you don't mind there, Jeremy Washington. On the back there of Carl Ridley. Battle for the lead of this race at the moment. With only a handful of laps to go.
For Ridley. But here's Washington.
Oh, that's a late send. Ridley's smart. He sticks to the racing line and forces Washington to throw that car any way he possibly can at the moment. The number one car is trying to get past the 290, but Ridley is doing everything he can. He has to just Ridley his way, really. Another 2 laps, and Ridley, that's Jeremy Washington out of the exit.
Just a brief moment there.
That's going to buy yourself 1/10, mate. 1/10 in a battle in the dying stages of a race, especially here at Canada, is huge.
It absolutely is, and Washington's having to throw everything at this. Carl Ridley doing a phenomenal job of defending. Let's jump up to the roof cam, because this gives us a great view of what Jeremy Washington's dealing with. You see Ridley just parking at the apex there, forcing Washington to back it off a little, and that's just a masterclass in defensive. This is the opportunity that Washington needs to look for.
We went in the middle.
But Ridley just parks it in the middle of the track. And this is the thing, Washington either needs to commit to a very, very deep brake on the inside line or try and get the acceleration on the outer line. Ridley is defending like an absolute superstar here. And I can't see how Washington's going to get past if Ridley can do this for one more lap, because that's what we're about to have. Washington closes it right up the tail. This is what he wants. He wants to be on the tail, contact with the wall.
It's close enough.
He scrapes the paint. We're looking for the white flag as we come around here. There it is. So this is the last lap. Kyle Ridley just has to hold on for one more round of Montreal, and he will take the win here in race 2. But Washington has been probing again and again. And I tell you what, I can't call it at this point. Ridley gets a great drive as they make their way down to the first chicane. Washington, still 4/10 back, now starts to close it up. So he gets the drive through the turn there. Ridley throws the car side to side. Washington right on his tail again.
Oh, there's contact.
Big moment. I don't think there's contact there. I think Washington's just lost it under brakes into the corner. And that could be all that Ridley needs. That's out to 6/10. Washington has a long way to pull back here if he wants to take P1.
It's going to be a La Diver to try to do anything about that one, because you haven't got much of a run to go to Casino Straight, and then you got World Champions. That would be a full send into that one. Would Washington want to throw away massive points here, knowing that Reese Wakefield's down P18? I would say no, but they'll tell the driver one thing. Kyle Ridley, what a drive. If you get the Netflix series, cancel it right now. Kyle Ridley is the top of the pops. He's the top of the Netflix. He's the top of the Drives to Survive. If he can hold off Jeremy for a couple of corners, he has the race win in the feature race in the MC Motorsports GT3 Championship.
What a driver, parks it out of the way, and probably the best thing to do at this point as he's back in P27. Kyle Ridley just needs to hold it together as we come down for one last time. Jeremy Washington's going to take a last dive as they come to the start-finish line. It's going to be close. It's going to be so close. 600ths of a second. Kyle Ridley takes the win over Jeremy Washington. What a phenomenal finish. Nothing in it at the line. But Kyle Ridley has held on for the win. A huge drive for Ridley. An unexpected result, I'm sure. And what a stellar, stellar performance from Kyle Ridley in the SLM Motorsport McLaren. Jeremy Washington just couldn't get it there in the end. I tell you what, Biggles, that's the sort of finish I like to see. Kyle Ridley up 3 positions from the start. I tell you what, to come out of that race largely unscathed, it's hard to believe, honestly. A huge battle all the way to the end. Let's go back and take a look at just how close that was across the line, though, because there was not a lot in it. As we'll see, Washington gets the drive out of the corner.
He pushed it down. He pushed it. But Kyle knew he had just enough of the exit speed, and that's what you say. Job done. Bingo.
Washington trying everything he could, but less than a car length from nose to nose there. Just an awesome finish. And Kyle Ridley, a well-deserved win in the end. As he makes his way back around to the pits. I'll tell you what, he's got to be sweating in that car.
There was a song, isn't it? In the end, nothing really doesn't really matter. It does matter. And Carl very much away. Pink is the new red. Pink is the new race victor. And congratulations, my friend, Circuit de Villeneuve. And old Canada A, it's yours. Top of the pops. Top of the timesheets. Top of the race win.
Stellar result there for Kyle Ridley. I'm hoping we get a chance to have a chat to him in just a moment. As we take a look at the final results for race number 2. And I tell you what, nothing in it at the end of the day. 0.056 separating Ridley and Washington in their McLarens. Lachlan Burke, 6.5 seconds back, will comfortably take the third step of the podium ahead of Chris Bleakley. Then Josh Benno maintained some good points out of that race. Dean Powell, Henry King, Mick Polly, Dean Jacobson and Nathan Bowman rounding out your top 10. Lee Keldulis finishing in 11th with Josh Harris and Wiley Blair. Then Dan Mirko and Aaron Gilbert ahead of Simon Caplet and Chris Lashbrook. You've got to hand to Reece Wakefield. Considering how many times he had to make the attempt, he's done a good job to finish in 18th and get back to that position a couple of times. We jump further through the order. Aaron Schotter and Dylan Thomas ahead of Daniel Poulton in 21st, then Luke Hayden and Charlie Milliken, the teammates, finishing 22nd and 23rd. Ronald Long, the last of the drivers to finish on the lead lap, with Josh Marsh, Patrick Frame, Travis Harris, Matt Bakir and James Salhani all a lap back. Trev Mortimer a couple laps behind. Martin Lipsky further back. Daniel McCrowan, Ryan Palmer and James Bunker having, unfortunately, nights to forget there in race number 2. But an absolute night to remember for our race winner, Kyle Ridley, who joins us now. Kyle, welcome to the booth. What a phenomenal performance. How much are you sweating right now, my friend?
Sweating? Oh, I'm sweating buckets. That was a lot of pressure from behind for such a long time. But hi, nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to the booth for the first time. I certainly hope it's not the last time we get to speak to you this series. But mate, look, a lot of support for you in the chat first of all, and I'll pass on, before it even gets asked for, I'll pass on a hello from Courtney, who's been enjoying it and willing you on right throughout. Massive battle, mate, massive battle. Obviously quite a bit of drama in amongst all of that tonight. How on earth did you manage to survive all of those incidents this evening?
Reverse grid went to my favour, finishing P8, so P7 in race 1, and then being able to start P4 was just allowed me to stay out of the dramas. I made my moves, got to P2 before the safety car, and yeah, as soon as I came out and I knew I was the effective leader, I had to get past the guys who didn't pit, get a gap, because I knew I didn't have the pace of the leaders. Sure enough, Joshua was catching me, or Jeremy, sorry, at a rate of knots. So I was like, alright, I'll wait for him to catch me, I'll see how good he is on racecraft, and then I'll determine if I'll just defend like hell or not. But now to get a win on my second round is actually a pretty good achievement, and I'm quite happy.
As you should be, mate. And speaking of racecraft, the defensive effort that you had to put in there was absolutely massive. We were talking for just what felt like about 15 laps, and I'm sure it felt like even longer to you in the car. But we were talking about how Washington was throwing absolutely everything at you. But defensively, have you ever had to drive that hard to maintain a position?
Many a times, as you may be able to tell.
Well, mate, there's a fair bit of experience there, I suspect. Biggles, I mean, what do you even say at that point?
Well, I say now that, my friend, you are probably going to be jumping from 11th place in the championship, but right up the top of the time, tickers. And yeah, defensive driving is something that we need to really honor a lot of drivers, because it's not easy to be under pressure, especially from big names like Jeremy Washington and so forth. And you did that. You held strong. The Pink Machine got the job done. The top of the pops got the job done. Yeah, big GGs to you, my friend. You know, sweating, but you know. Now, how do you feel going into the deeper part of this championship? Like, do you think you can win a couple more races up your belt?
I'm not too sure about winning more races. It all depends. Montreal is one of my favourite tracks, like just outright on the sim. So I knew I had a good pace advantage there. So I don't know what I'm not quite because I'm a reserve driver, so I can't always forget what the other rounds are. But I'm sure once I realise what they are, I'll determine if I've got the pace there or not. But I would like to clarify, it's SLM Motorsport. I haven't changed my SDK. That was way back
my
ago.
apologies.
But SLM Motorsport is the team, so I want to thank Matt for the team.
Where are you from, by the way, Kyle? You're from Elizabeth? We're just...
yeah, I'm like 5 minutes from Holden's.
In what state?
SA.
Okay, SA, thank you. We're just going to clarify that one. Yep.
Well,
GG's, my friend.
Yeah, well done, and you'll be happy.
Oscar's going to call you right now and say McLaren on top again. Good job.
You'll be happy to know, Kyle, that I did pick up the SLM Motorsport on the side of the car, and we have updated your team name throughout the broadcast, so that is accurately displayed for you. And,
awesome! Thank you.
My
mate,
bad,
a huge drive tonight. We're going to let you rehydrate because I think that's probably pretty important right at this stage. But very, very well done this evening. Congratulations, and hopefully we get another chance to speak to you here in the booth sometime over the rest of the season, eh?
Hopefully, we'll never know.
Don't hug Zach Brown, all right? He breaks ribs.
Yeah, keep your ribs intact. Kyle, well done, mate. A huge win there in race number 2. We'll leave you to it. Congratulations. Kyle Ridley there taking out P1 in race 2, and I tell you what, it's probably a good opportunity for us because to take a look at provisional points, because I suspect that there's been a little bit of movement in that, and this is how it stacks up ahead of any late penalties. So obviously some work to go on from the stewards in reviewing the race and all the rest of it, but at this stage, Jeremy Washington looking, you've got to say, reasonably comfortable out in front. But again, early days. Reese Wakefield still in there despite his results in race 2. The race 1 results just really carrying him and holding him there. But Josh Benno, keep your eye on him. He's up 3 spots from tonight, more than likely. Daniel Poulton still there at the moment. Kyle Ridley, though, tied for 4th with Daniel Poulton. So not a bad place to be. Lachlan Burke right there as well, only 6 points further back. There is nothing in this, which is not hard to believe after only 3 rounds. But once we figure out the new drop rounds and everything else that goes along with it, it'll be interesting to see where these points do end up in the official results in a couple of days' time once the stewards have been through everything.
Lachlan finishing 3rd in this race as well too will give him that nice little boost. And you got to mention Joshua Bernard did a fantastic job there of defending that podium position. Gives himself a big boost, of course, 4 positions as well to up there. Kyle Ridley in a big boost of 6 positions gained there. But Joshua, as I mentioned, 3 positions gained. So my apologies, but it puts him in P3. But the switcheroo between the leaders is key, isn't it? Because Washington up the top step says, hey, you know, I was going to go on the presidency thing, but he is essentially at the moment the president of the championship here.
Isn't he just?
Sorry, Joshua. Jeremy, I had to do it.
There's still a lot of racing to go. We've still got a fair bit ahead of us on the calendar, but it's shaping up to be a very, very tight season with some of the racing that we're seeing so far. Next week, we get into the Enduros though. Watkins Glen, 1.5 hour endurance race. It's the mini Enduro, if you like, of the season. So that'll bring on a whole lot of different strategy requirements. Then, of course, we've got Road America and the always favourite Spa-Francorchamps. Then Daytona International for the 2-hour endurance. And, of course, the final round, the driver's track vote, yet to be decided. So to make sure that you don't miss out on any of that action, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button down below to ensure that you see these streams when they are ready to go live. Beagles, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back in the booth, my friend. We do need to decide on our driver of the day, and look, it's a tricky one for me, right? Kyle Ridley, a massive drive there in race number 2. You've got to hand it to him, but I do have to think Josh Benno across the 2 races, super consistent, and just drove really, really clean races right throughout. I'm almost inclined to give it to Benno despite the huge performance from Ridley in race 2. What do you think?
You got my backing, my friend. You have my 100% backing. because he finished consecutively in like 5th and 2nd, I believe, in that one. So yeah, Joshua is my driver of the day as well too. Got to give it to Carl, but Carl finished 7th and then 1st. That's a tough one. 7th and 1st, or do you go basically 2nd and 5th?
Look, I
both
think
of them
that
had to defend.
they did. I think the deciding factor for me is that I can't week in, week out give the driver of the day to the winner either. So we're going to have to mix it up occasionally. No, honestly, I think
you're the boss.
I think Josh Benno, just the consistency and some of the driving we saw, particularly in race 1 there, really cemented him for today. But it's a hard one today because the field was so strong, and we saw 2 completely different groups of drivers dominating the field in race 1 versus race 2, and that's a little unusual. So I'm hoping that we do get a bit more of that at Watkins Glen. But again, an hour and a half endurance racing, very, very different to a 16-lap sprint race. So plenty to keep your eyes on. But that's it for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This is Montreal, this is Canada. It's been an absolute blast, but the checkered flag has fallen, and it has been a couple of absolutely sensational races that we've witnessed here tonight, Biggles. Sincere thanks to you, of course, for joining me in the booth, and I think it's about time we wrapped it up. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for allowing me back in here, and I'm loving the MC Motorsports, and thank you for all the chatters out there as well too, because you're gold. You're gold, baby. You're gold. We love you.
Absolutely. And look, a huge thank you to, of course, all of the sponsors of the Domains2U GT3 Championship. Domains2U, of course, our primary sponsor. And if you are looking to get your website off the ground, they are the people to talk to. Alongside them, of course, Sixpence Coffee, Everything Simulated, Maximum Effort Racing, and iRap Designs. We've got some amazing sponsors on board that make this all possible. A huge thank you, of course, to MC Motorsports for putting it all on and making it happen. On behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, it has been a pleasure to bring you yet another round of fantastic GT3 racing. We've got another 5 rounds yet to come, so do make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you don't miss any of the action ahead of us, and we will be looking to crown our next GT3 champion in really just over a month and a half's time. So don't miss out on any of it. We are just getting started. More twists, more turns, more epic battles still to come. Make sure you join us next time as the Domains2U GT3 Championship rolls on. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we will see you next time trackside. It is goodbye for now.